Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Ukraine is facing mounting pressure both on the battlefield and at home. President Volodymyr Zelensky's sweeping government reshuffle has triggered the biggest wartime protests in months after the dismissal of Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov, raising questions about military reform, political accountability, and the president's leadership as the war grinds on. Joining us today on TVP World to discuss these developments is Rostyslav Khotin, senior editor for the Ukrainian Service at Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, a veteran journalist whose reporting on Ukrainian politics and international affairs provides us valuable insights into this critical moment. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, Benjamin.
So first of all, I would actually like to kick off with some of the latest developments. We've seen a thawing of Ukrainian-Polish relationship with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy extending the olive branch, and the Polish Prime Minister also saying that he is quite pleased with the 5-point plan. Can you help us understand what has been discussed, and are we seeing the light at the end of the tunnel already?
Yeah, he is kind of open arms to Poland, kind of wants to make a breakthrough in Ukrainian-Polish relations, somewhat strained recently. There are threefold actions to which Zelenskyy is proposing. First of all, it's to activate even more the diplomatic dialogue between Ukraine and Poland, to make sure that countries are in constant contact by diplomatic channels. Especially Ukraine needs Polish support now as it moves towards EU membership, and Ukraine doesn't want Poland to be kind of remain silent or to be kind of sidelined. It wants Poland to be an engine of Ukrainian European integration, because membership in the EU is both strategically important as for Ukraine as for Poland as well. Secondly, President Zelenskyy is extending his hand by opening archives for Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, which are describing the SBU has a lot of old archives about Second World War II period regarding the Volhynian events in current region of Volhynia in Ukraine. It's important because SBU inherited this archive from Ukrainian KGB from Soviet era, and apparently there are a lot of documents concerning that period of time and relations between Poles and Ukrainians in Volhynia region in Western Ukraine in 1943 and 1944. And sadly, last but not least, Ukraine also will give a lot of permissions at the same time for Polish researchers to conduct exhumation work in Western Ukraine, in the Volhynian region, in other parts of Ukraine, in Lviv region and other regions of Western Ukraine. Not because so far it was like one permission, then exhumation work starts, ends, then another permission. Now there will be multiple permissions at the same time, so the Polish researchers could do exhumation work kind of on a large scale, much larger scale than before. So it's also important, and was admitted, and there was a big thanks from Polish government, from Prime Minister Tusk, from Defense Minister, from other senior Polish officials. So Ukraine wants to sort out this relations with Poland in a good neighborhood manner, and to extend the hand of partnership and cooperation with Polish side.
Right, we'll definitely have to see whether this will be enough to thaw the relationship between the two neighbors. But now moving on to the government reshuffle in Ukraine, we saw over the past few days protests on the streets, which is quite rare for Ukraine during a wartime, especially when it comes to stuff regarding government personnel. There's recent reports saying that there's a possibility that we might actually see Fedorov back, and President Zelenskyy is considering working together with him. What do we know about this so far?
So far, we know that the government, after presidential proposal, appointed Evgeny Khmara the former acting head of Ukrainian Security Service, the acting defense minister. Now there are two acting ministers, key ministers. Foreign Affairs Minister is acting Andriy Sybiha, and acting Defense Minister Evgeny Khmara, because these two ministers are proposed by the president, but the parliament should vote, should approve these nominations. But the thing is that parliament has taken summer vacations till the 18th of August. So for a month, there will be no defense minister and foreign minister, but acting defense minister and acting foreign minister. Meanwhile, protests are continuing in Kyiv and other cities. Today also the organizers called protest for 8 o'clock p.m. in the evening as yesterday. It's somewhat lesser, these protests have somewhat lesser scale than a year ago, the anti-corruption Maidan, anti-corruption protest, when the youth also came out on the streets of Ukrainian cities. This time is slightly less, but nevertheless, people are active, especially youngsters. And the petition registered to return Mikhailo Fedorov as defense minister, we'll see. The thing is that the new appointee, acting defense minister, Evgeny Khmara, is also very good professionals and highly regarded in security and defense circles. He was instrumental. He's a general. He was instrumental in defending Kyiv region in 2022 when the Battle of Kyiv was won by Ukrainian forces. He was also instrumental in liberation of Serpent Island in the Black Sea, which was occupied by Russian forces at the initial stage of war. But then was this island, key island, strategically located island, was liberated by Ukrainian forces later, and he was instrumental. Khmara was instrumental in this, and also Khmara was involved in this spiderweb operation when Ukrainian drones loaded on the trucks in Russian Federation and soil of the very Russian Federation hit dozens of strategic heavy bombers, destroying dozens and dozens of strategic heavy bombers, Tu-95 and Tu-160 key components of Russian nuclear triad. So he's a professional, good professional, but nevertheless people want, especially younger generation, see Mikhailo Fedorov as a kind of symbol of Ukrainian technological advances, Ukrainian technological developments, reform of armed forces, a non-corrupt politician. He is very popular among a younger generation of Ukrainians who are kind of future-oriented. His conflict, Fedorov's conflict with General Syrsky, commander of Ukrainian armed forces, is viewed as a battle of future against past, battle of fight between a kind of new approach and old traditional Soviet approach to the armed forces. Kind of Fedorov
and that's what we wanted to get into, because we see people on the streets being very vocal and adamant about having Fedorov back. And we've also heard, well, amid protests, the Ukrainian presidential aide did say on Friday that Zelenskyy and Fedorov are interested in further cooperation. Of course, when asked to clarify what that means, they say that the two of them will decide that together. Is this a sign that Zelenskyy is partially backing off that decision to switch him out? At any point, is there a chance that we might see Fedorov back in that position, or working together with the Ministry of Defense in any other sort of capacity?
We don't know. We know for sure that Zelenskyy wants to see Fedorov part of his team. He doesn't want definitely the Fedorov to lean towards opposition, because opposition MPs kind of actively supported Fedorov and defended him and his record as a defense minister, although despite he stayed as a defense minister just for half a year, but nevertheless he earned a lot of praise from the various circles of Ukrainian authorities and the Ukrainian society, wider society. We don't know. What we know for sure that Zelenskyy doesn't want him to kind of go into opposition camp, into opposition. He doesn't want to create a political opponent. So he wants him to continue to be a part of presidential team We'll see. The next month is very crucial. A lot of maneuvering, political maneuvering will be happening. But the main thing is now, despite government reshuffle, despite all these kind of earthquakes, political earthquakes in Ukraine, despite personalities being moved from one position to another, despite new government in Ukraine, new prime minister, Ukrainian armed forces are and security services are continuing targeting Russia massively and successfully. Just this night, the Moscow region was targeted by hundreds of Ukrainian drones. Oil depot in Noginsk was hit. The big depot in town of Elektrostali in Moscow region was hit. The plume of smoke was visible from dozens and dozens of kilometers away in Moscow region. Also, Ukrainian drone units targeted 13 tankers in the Azov and Black Sea and other vessels, Russian vessels, bringing a total
That's actually
number
something that I want to touch upon because some
170.
reports are describing Ukrainian achieving either using terms like maritime domination or perhaps lighter words as a sea denial. Is this what we're seeing right now? Like you mentioned, are Ukraine winning when it comes to dominating the maritime field?
Yes, absolutely. It's unprecedented. It's widely described as unprecedented campaign. Over the last 2 weeks, Ukrainian forces, drone forces, hit more than 170 vessels, mostly tankers, Russian tankers, in Azov and Black Sea. Mostly 2/3 of them were hit in Azov Sea and 1/3 in Black Sea. These tankers and vessels are important for Russian connection with Crimea, for supply of Crimea with fuel and petrol and Russian exports. And Ukrainian campaign was unprecedented in scale and consistency. You know, night after night, dozens and dozens of Russian tankers and were hit. And the precision was also, I want to mention, I want to focus attention on precision, because Ukrainian drones don't hit the tanker as such to create an ecological disaster. They hit the part of the tanker where captain and crew are located. So they disarm them, they disable them, but they don't create ecological disaster with oil spills and so on and so forth. This campaign is unprecedented in the history of military warfare, even for the last century, the 20th century. And Ukrainians are able to continue it despite government reshuffle and despite changes at the top of the defense ministry.
Right. Thank you so much for helping us shed light on the situation in the battlefield as well as the political backstage as well. Really appreciate it. And thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.